Shabbos, we're saying farewell to the Sefer Bereshit. The Kuta of Bereshit, which elaborates on the Reshit of Klal Yisrael, which are the other Gedoshim, a time comes when we have to become serious about our relationship with the Inyan of Reshit. So, right after we finish the Sefer Bereshit, you probably are aware of it. Eden have a period of 6 weeks, which are called Shevavim, to be masaking any pigam that we were faking in the Inyan of Reshit. And there are 6 there are 7 Ushpizim, and these 7 Ushpizim are called Shiva Rayim. Hakim Lano Rayim Shiva would say on Chanukah. The 7 shepherds, and each one of these shepherds has his contribution to Klal Yisrael, and he feeds Klal Yisrael with his specific mitzvah, his specific inyan. These are, of course, the Yeshbizim, the 7 Rayim, and you met them on Sukkot. Avram, Yitzchak, Yankov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. Yosef is the 6th. So therefore, on Shevavim, we have 6 weeks to be masaking the Inyan of Reshit. In this week's Seder, we have the Yankov Avinu commending Yosef HaTzadik for having come to perfection in this midah of Reshit. Now, you meet these 7 Ushpizim on Sukkot, and they come to your Sukkot, and you invite them, and you know that they are Avram, Yitzchak, and Yankov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. You meet them again on Sfira. There are 7 weeks of Sfira, in which you have to be masaking the Inyanim, the specific midah of these 7 Ushpizim. And these are Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Chayd, Yesod, and Malchus. I won't go into biur of what these 7 midas are. Perhaps we already did it, or perhaps we will, but not now. But we are now concerned with the 6th midah, which is called Yesod, the 6th week, the 6th Ushpizim who is Yosef. And this midah is Kedushas HaBris. So the Yankov of David and Melech. What? Yes, what is the book? And the Kedushas HaBris is the Kedusha of Klal Yisrael. Like Rashi says, Kedoshim Tiyu, Shetiyopushim Me'arayim. Yankov Avinu tells Yosef, Ben Peiras Yosef, Ben Peiras Alei Oyim. And the Al-Shech HaKadosh explains, based on the Medrash, Ben Peiras Yosef, Yosef was Zoichet to Chaim. Vahi Yosef is Toya, Mare, and Kavasher Yosef Shamatzriach. Why we do Zoichet to that? Because Ben Peiras Alei Oyim. He was careful with his eye, like the Medrash tells us, that when, I think Rashi did also, I'm not sure, I'm not up to it this week. I think I'm going to learn it today. Every day I learn one parsha in Chumash. That when Yosef went out on Eretz Mitzrayim as the king's vice president, so the girls got on the rooftops and they threw down trinkets and jewelry to him to attract him. He should look up at him. He didn't look. Ben Pyrus alei oyin. When I saw the girls as they stepped on the roofs to attract him, alei sure he looked at the wall. That's how the Al-Shechtaich is the Pasuk based on the murders. This is the Kedusha of Yosef. And the Seder of Reishis, the Sefer of Reishis, the Sefer of the Nekuda of Reishis, the Genesis of Klal Yisrael, ends with the Ptira of Yosef. And if Yosef is Nefesh, we have to be Mamshech, the Kedusha of Yosef, the heritage that Yosef left us. So we start immediately as we finish the Seder of Reishis with the Ptira of Yosef, we start the Tikkun Shevadim. Shevadim is based on these 6 weeks that we try to be Mesaking and develop ourselves and improve ourselves in this Midah of Yosef, the 6th Midah. So we have 6 weeks for that. Shmais v'eira by b'shalach Yisrael HaMishpatim, which is Rosh Hashanah, Shevadim. The Navi says, Shuvu banim Shevadim. Banim Shevadim means children for a while, mischievous. Shuvu banim Shevadim. Return, you mischievous children. Shevadim. Shmais v'eira by b'shalach Yisrael HaMishpatim. We may speak next week, Be'ezer Hashem, here or in Yerushalayim Avinuya, why these 6 weeks, why the contents of these 6 Sederes, Shmais V'er Bei B'Shalach Yisrael Mishpatim, what shaykhs they have with this text. Well, we'll talk about it maybe. In Parshas Vayeshev, we have Yainkev, Ki Yesh Sheva B'Mitzrayim. Yosef left. Yankov is mourning for him. His Bavelus. His Saba of B'nai Yamim Rabin. And Yankov saw Yesh Sheva B'Mitzrayim. So Rashi brings 2 pshat. Yesh Sheva B'Mitzrayim. There is food to be acquired in Mitzrayim. Another pshat says, Yesh Sheva b'Mitzrayim, there is hope in Mitzrayim. Sheva from the word Sevel, like L'shosak Visi Hashem. The Targum says, L'fokanach Saboris Hashem. Sevel, there is a hope. There was a nitz of Ruach HaKodesh in him, even though the Shekhinah has departed from him because he was Bavelus, but it was a nitz of, he felt that Yosef is a Mitzrayim. So these 2 pshatim are seemingly not related at all. There's food to be bought in Mitzrayim, or there is hope in Mitzrayim. We know that all the drashas of Chazal are Oilim B'Kana Echad. They come from one root. I'd like to do some research on this and find out why these 2 pshatim find their root on one pasuk of Yesh Sheva b'Mitzrayim. The Targum Yonason says, "V'Yainket Yesh Sheva b'Mitzrayim Sheicharim came who brought tefua. They brought grain from Mitzrayim, and they were selling the tefua. Tagim Yainus say, so therefore Yankov knew that there is Sheva b'Mitzrayim. Why was the Tagim Yainus say that Seicherim came and they brought through? It was in a new space. Everybody knew. It wasn't a home idea. Everybody knew that there's a hunger in Mitzrayim and that you can, and people are traveling to, there's hunger in Eretz Yisrael, and people are traveling to Mitzrayim to buy food from that stuff, Nesbaneach or whatever his name was. So Seicherim had to come and bring food, bring grain, so that Yankov should be convinced that there is food in Mitzrayim. In the beginning of Vayechi, it says that Vayev Yankov is Yaisis Mikal Echav Ki Ben Zekunim Hulay. He was a Ben Zekunim. What does Ben Zekunim mean? Is that one of the pshatim in Rashi is that the Torah that he learned by Shem V'Yever, he gave over to Yever. The Balaturim says Zekunim is Rashi Tevis, Zrayim, Kadishim, Nashim, Yeshuais, Mayay. Yeshuais is Nazik in the Gemara. He learned with him all this Dharam of Mishnayos. And there is a glaring kasha here. Where is Taharais? There are 6 Dharam of Mishnayos. Zekunim is Rosh Hashanah 5 Dharam. Dharam, Kachim, Nashim, Yeshua, Ismail. Where is Taharais? Some sites I have a pshat on that, and I refer you to some sites. But here, I would, Be'ez Hashem, want to say another pshat. There are 7 days in the week, and these 7 days are connected the 7 midas. Because we will come to that. It says that Yankov taught the Isai the Torah that Yankov learned by Shem V'Yever. Why didn't it teach the Yiddish? Because he taught him all the Torah that he learned by Shem V'Yever. When Yankov departed, he was only 17 years old. The other Shvatim were older than him. Didn't Yankov teach the other Shvatim also the Torah that they learned by Shem V'Yever? The Medrash says that he taught the Isaac for the Torah that they learned from Abraham and Yitzchak. Also the same kasha. Now, we know, Rashi brings it in Parshas Torah. Eikev asher Shem Avraham b'koydi v'yishman b'shmati chukayte v'saraysay, that Avraham Avinu kept the whole Torah. How did Avraham Avinu know the whole Torah? And the Medrash says that even the every day the Rabban Shalom is mechadesh a new halacha b'shemayim. And Avraham Avinu knew all the halachas that the Rebbe says Machadesh B'Shemayim. How did he know that? And also even the new name that Rabbi Shalom will name Yerushalayim when Mashiach will come, Avraham Avinu knew that. So the Medrash says, how did he know that? Because he was massacred by himself. Shtei Keliyosai his 2 kidneys were bubbling over with chachma. Keliyosai means the makim in the guf from where 8 says come from. Keliyosai yayat, the Gemara says. He knew it from himself. Because Avraham Avinu was such a tzaddik, he was so attached to the Rabbeinu Shalom that Abraham Avinu was zeicher to understand the Torah without anybody teaching him. He was zeicher because of his connection with the Rabbeinu Shalom. Now, we understand that the greatest one of the others is Yankov Avinu. Chazal tell us that B'nai Yankov Bechira, he's the Bechir Shabiyavim. He's the special one of the others, the Bechir, the best one of the others, the choice. Bechir means choice. Bechira. He's the choices of the others. Now, if Abraham Avinu was zeicher to know the entire Torah all by himself, why wasn't the Yankov, who was greater than Abraham? Why wasn't he zeicher to know the entire Torah all by himself? Why did Yankov have to go and learn it by Shem V'Yehi? Or by Abraham and Yitzchak, like the Medrash says? So, we'll come back to what I said before. There are Shiva Rayim, 7 shepherds. Each shepherd has his midah that he charges Klal Yisrael with that midah. There are 3 of us, 7 shepherds, 12 shvat. The shepherds are above the shvat. Huh? The Rayim, what is it? Can I help you? Huh? The 7 Rayim, that's Abraham, Yitzchak, Yankov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. The Rayim are above the shvat. The apparent difference is that a Raya feeds. He takes care of the herd, and he's a shepherd, and so he takes them to the places of pasture and he feeds them. So therefore, whole Klal Yisrael, the Shvatim are the Rashim of their own Shavas, their specific Shavas. Reuven has his shaykhs with the Shevet Reuven. Reuven doesn't contribute anything to the Shevet Levi. The shepherds, the Zayim, they contribute to the whole Klal Yisrael. Yosef should have been one of the Shvat, but he was elevated. He became one of the Zayim, and his 2 sons became the Shvatim instead, Ephraim and Manasseh. Yosef was elevated. Yosef has something for whole Klal Yisrael. He gives us midas hayesod, like the Medrash said, that if not for Yosef and his Nisyanis and Mitzrayim, especially with Yosef by Tifera, he brought in a kedusha in Mitzrayim that all the years, 210 years that Yid stayed in Mitzrayim, they were kadosh in the inyanim of Yisrael, of Arayas. There was one woman who was nichshal b'shoigeg, and the Torah was mafal from who it was. Shalaim is bazdidri le'masei dam, that the mindset of the Basa Shmitzri, but Ben Shmitzri. But the Yidden was Kedusha. Where did they get the Kedusha from? From Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef HaTzadik charged Yidden with a Kedusha because of his Nisyanis and Mitzrayim, so that they should be able to survive the Tumas Mitzrayim, which is the Erba Sa'aret, the headquarters of all Tumah, and they were able to survive in Mitzrayim the Kedusha because of Yosef. Yosef supplies Klal Yisrael with Kedushas B'risei Shel Avraham Avinu. You probably saw the Sefer Chakli Yisrael that many Yidden learn every day. Well, the Chakli Yisrael is an opinion to learn every day as prescribed by the Ariya Kodesh. Because the 7 days of the week are corresponding to the 7 Rayim. The 7 days of the week are Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Yisrael, and these 7 days, each one has a specific chelik in Torah. These 7 days come from 7 sources where the 7 Talakim in Torah come from. So the Ariya Kodesh says that every day you should learn Torah which corresponds with and fits to the midah of that day. On Sunday, you should learn Seder Zrayim. So the Chag Yisrael has a Mishnah of Seder Zrayim, and it has Gemara of Seder Zrayim, and it has Psukim from the Parsha, the current Parsha, and halachas which have a shaykhs to Seder Zrayim. On Monday is Mayei. So in the Chag Yisrael, you have a Perek Mishnayos of Mayei, a piece of Gemara from Mayei, and so on and so forth. Tuesday is Nashim. Wednesday is Nazik. Thursday is Kutshim. Friday is Tav. Shabbos, that's David HaMelech. Friday Satayim. We finish the 6 tikkunim of Mishnah in the 6 days, and Shabbos is Seder Satayim. Now, being that these 7 ushpizim, their Shoresh HaNeshama is the same one from where the Shoresh of these Tzedara Mishnayos comes from. So therefore, it certainly could be said that these 7 ushpizim are Zayche by themselves to understand their Chaylik and Torah. And their Chaylik and Torah, like for instance Sunday. Sunday is Zrayim. Zrayim is Avraham Avinu. Monday is Mayei. Mayei is Yitzchak. And Yitzchak, you always have Mayei, Mayei Dasha Ve'elech, and you have many times in the Chumash. Tuesday is Nashim. If you look in the Sedras that deal with Yankei, who was connected Nashim, Sedras was of Nashim. Rachel and Leah and Zilpa and Billah, a whole Seder of Nashim. I can't elaborate too much on that. But Al Kapanim, each of these Sheva Rayim is corresponding to a certain, shall I say, shevil, a certain channel. From that channel that his neshama comes from, that same channel, that's where his Seder and Mishnayos and Gemara comes from. So let's say Monday is a Seder Mayei. Yitzchak Avinu didn't have to be Mikabel the Seder Mayei. He knew it by himself, because that's his Seder. Yankov didn't have to be in the Kabbalah to say Nashim. He knew it by himself. That's his Seder. His Neshama is Nashim. There's one exception. Zroy. Bracha. Nesechta Bracha. Which is the only Nesechta in Zroy. And Nesechta of Gemara. Zroyim is Avraham Avinu. Amun. In fact, the pasuk that tells us, that speaks about the 6 dozen, is the pasuk Vaya. The Gemara says in Shabbos, Vaya Amuna Sitecha Chayis Yeshua Chachmat Zedar. These are the 6 Sedarim of Mishnayos. Amunas is Sefer Zroyim. Of course, where did we get our Amunah from? And Avraham Avinu, Vaishlam Amin, and Ram and Hashem. And when this is right, these 6 days are really the 6 midas. The Zohar HaKadosh says, the title says, Ki sheishes yamim asa Hashem, asa shemayim yasa earth. So Eibusha made the world with sheishes yamim. So the Zohar says it should have said, Ki b'sheishes yamim. What's got ki sheishes yamim? The answer is, yamim means amida. Ki sheishes yamim asa Hashem. The Eibusha made 6 midas. Uvayim Hashvi'i, on the day of Malchus, the mid of Malchus, Shabbat v'yinafesh, that's Shabbat. Yismuchu b'Malchus, Hashem v'Shabbat. That's Malchus. Yain means a midah, according to the Zohar. So therefore, the Zohar says that the first midah goes along with all the midahs. Like for instance, on Sukkot, the Yeshpizim come. Each day has its Yeshpiz. But Avraham Avinu goes along with all the Yeshpiz, because he's the first midah. The first contains all of them. Like Avraham Avinu is a Reish, he contains all of them. Like the Reish HaTevah, the first letter in the word contains the entire word. So Avraham Avinu accompanies all the midahs. The Zohar says, the Avraham Zaken Baba Yamim. Avraham the Zaken, who's the oldest one, he comes along by Yamim with all the midahs. He accompanies all the midahs. He accompanies all of them. He contains all of them, like the Rosh HaTevah of the word. Therefore, Avraham Avinu Seder Zrayim was masik not only Seder Zrayim, he was masik all the Masechtas, all the Sedam, because he contains all of them. So Avraham Avinu didn't have to learn the Ani Rebbe. Nothing he had to learn the Ani Rebbe, because Zrayim contains everything. The other Rishpizim, the other Zrayim, knew their Seder, but they had to learn the others down from the Rebbe. Even Yankov Avinu only knew Seder Nashim by himself, because he's not the first. The first contains everything. The other things he had to learn by Abraham and Yitzchak, or by Shem V'Yehi, depending on the Midrash. Yosef HaTzadik, being elevated from the Madrega of Shevet to the Madrega of Raya, he's from the Avos. Mishum Raya Even Yisrael. The Rashi says Even is of Bain. He's a connection of both of and Bain. He's a hemshech of Yankov. Yosef HaTzadik was masking the Seder Taharais all by himself. So that would be the pshat. All the Shvatim had to learn, and they were taught by Yankov Avinu, all the Sedarim. Yosef didn't have to learn Taharas by Yankov Avinu. He was masking it all himself. So Vayehav Yankov is Yosef. Why did Yankov love Yosef? Because he learned by him the 5 Sedarim. Zrayim, Kachim, Nashim, Yeshua, and Mayet. But not Taharas. Taharas he was masking by himself. And the other Shvatim had to learn everything. So Yankov saw that Yosef is above everybody. And that's why he loved him. Because he's from the Zion, he's not from the Shvat. He's a higher Madreiga. So, the Gemara says in Saita, Mishan Nikla Tahara, Nikla Tam V'Gaya Chatayra. When we go to the fruit store and we buy apples and grapes and oranges, and we make a bracha and we taste it and it's yummy, do you think that you know how it tastes? No. It tastes much better than you realize. But when in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, fruits tasted so wonderful that it was such an experience to eat a piece of fruit, to eat some food that grew in Eretz Yisrael. It had a tam and a chayach, and Yidden were Taharim. The Shabbatler Tahara, the Gemara says, when Yidden fell down from their Madrega, and they lost the Madrega of Taharim, they also the tam and the chayach of the Teiros were lost. The Reis Teiros don't have the tam and they don't have the chayach of Amalek Teiros, because Tahara is missed. Tahara gives a taste and fragrance in the Teiros. Now, Yosef personally took care of giving out the shevel, the tzvua in the sky. The Yosef, the Torah tells us the Chiddush. The Yosef hu HaShalit, hu HaMashber l'chol ha'ma'od. A head of state, as a grocery store was sells food. No. Yosef did so. Yosef hu HaShalit. Yosef was the head of state, hu HaMashber l'chol ha'ma'od. He distributed the tzvua. Why did he distribute the tzvua? Well, one thing is, he wanted to have a chance to meet his brothers. You know that his brothers will come. He wanted to meet them. There's more than that. Whatever he's Isaac in is Kayach HaPayil B'Nifal. He's the one that gathered the payers. He's the one that supervised the planting, because whatever they planted, the mitzvah all got rotten, that's it. Only what he planted and what he supervised, that remained fresh, and it was able to be sold. Yosef personally took care of all the tzvua in the sky. Being that there's a cloud, Kayach HaPayil B'Nefal, when somebody does something, his kayach goes into his handiwork. The kayach of Yosef was nekar in the peiros that went through his hands. So the peiros that Yosef sold had a wonderful ta'am and a wonderful rayach, because Yosef was tahar. Yosef had tahar. When the Seicherim brought this tzvua to Eretz Canaan, and Yankov bought that tzvua, and he said, lo and behold, there's something special about this tzvua. It comes from Mitzrayim, from Erev HaSa'aretz. Where did this tam and rayach come from? It's delicious. It's so there's a fragrance coming from the payers. Where did the tam and that rayach come to the payers from? He started suspecting that it must come from the son Yosef, who was Seder Tahara. And that's where the Tahara came in the payers, and that's why there was a tam and a rayach. So now both pshatim is one pshat. That there is tvua in Mitzrayim, tvua that the Seicherim brought, and he tasted it and he felt the tam. That made Sheva ben Mitzrayim a hope in Mitzrayim. He was hoping that Yosef was alive, because he knew that nobody but Yosef could instill such a tam in those payers and such a rayach in these payers. Only Yosef could do that, because Yosef is Seder Tahara. That's how we knew, because he's his ben Zekunim. So Sheva ben Mitzrayim is the gematria Seder Tahara. Figure it out on your calculator. Sheva ben Mitzrayim is the gematria Seder Tahara. So Yankov Sheva ben Mitzrayim, that there's Seder Taharas in Mitzrayim, but Yosef, who is the personification of Seder Taharas, he finds himself in Mitzrayim. So therefore there was a tam and a rayach in it. The Yishmaelim are the opposite of Yosef. The Yishmaelim are the ones who are the most lakui. They are spoiled in Midas HaYisod. The Gemara says that Asara Kabin's Nus Yada Le'olam. The Gemara says Kedushin. Tisha Netlu Arabim. The Yishmaelim are the ones who are worst, who are most steeped in the tumah of Nus. You see it today. The Maisa Nefesh themselves was Nus. All these suicide bombers, because they're galach and tell them that if they're going to commit suicide and kill Yidden, they're going to have a Gan Eden with so many Zaymites. I mean, it's a little difficult to me to say it here, but that's a fact, and they have it in the newspaper. Their Maisa Nefesh was Nus. And they're the ones who are the most tzniistic of all the people. In this section, we see that the Arab women have it all shrouded up in this clothing and covered up. That's the clown. That's Asa Paishas Plasayim. Every clipper appears as if it's pure in the Indian in which it's most lucky, in which it's most spoiled. They're the very epitome of Nus. So they shroud themselves up with a cloak of tznius. They're not tznius, they're big Zionists. They took the Asara, Tisha Kabin of Nus, they took from the 10 witches in the world. So therefore, by Yishmaelim, if those of you who ever were in Eretz Yisrael, go by Yishmaeli house, a very offensive rayach comes from their home. There's no rayach. A bad rayach comes from their home. They're steeped in Nus. So therefore, Rashi says, Achidish Pele, that when the Yishmaelim brought Yosef to Mitzrayim, they're carrying psalm. So Rashi says the Yishmaelim are always carrying Nafet and Nitzchem, kerosene, and all that has a bad rayach. They are the people of the bad rayach. But with Yosef around, Adrab, Yosef is tired, he's a good rayach. So because of the Yosef, they Adrab, they transported things that have a good rayach. Ki ben zekunem hu lo is the gematria ta'am rayach. Yosef had a ta'am and rayach. So that's why Yankov knew from partaking from the tzvua from Mitzrayim that Yosef is in Mitzrayim. Yosef is in Mitzrayim. There's tzvua in Mitzrayim. There's taharas in Mitzrayim. The Gemara says in Berachos, Asidin b'churei Yisrael shaloi chatu she'litain l'zayach kalavanim. Zayach type kalavanim. Shneimar Yehu yen kaisat v'reyach lei kalavanim. The Bachram from Yid that didn't do a virus, or if they did a virus, but they did a nampu tshuva for these virus, they're going to give forth a wonderful reyach when Mashiach will come. Because Kedushas Abris is reyach. Now, we have the 6 weeks of Shavuot starting immediately with Motzei Shabbos, after we finish Parshas Vayechi. After we finish learning that Yosef was Nesno. As far as these Nisyanis are concerned, I really don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I'm asking Kashas and the Rabbanish, but I don't understand. I don't have to understand. What does the Rabbanish don't want from our Bachram today? They're exposed to so much schmutz, so much Nisyanis. A generation ago, when I was a boy, these Nisyanis weren't around. The streets were clean, people were tzniistic, goyim were tzniistic. The one who really started it off was Kennedy. Not Kechamtamis himself. Kennedy was a very liberal person. And we know today that He was worse than Clinton in Yemen. And Clinton also was a very liberal person. He was a maneuver, both of them. And he started off this ruach, which is today called Western culture, of freedom, of permissiveness, and the world became one big vayechi, the whole world. When I was a boy, I mentioned that already, perhaps to you, that somebody in the hot August day would have gone out in the street with a T-shirt. I'm speaking about a boy. If a boy or a male would have gone out in the street without a shirt, but with a T-shirt, the undershirt only, he wouldn't have survived 5 minutes in the street. He would have been arrested for disorderly conduct. People would sneeze back. There was no such thing as, if you look at the old, in the Satmar Chazal, the Satmar, they are successful at buying off the old school buildings, and they renovate them and they make the Chazal from them. So those school buildings take up whole block. You see them in Williamsburg and other places. So you still have, like, etched into the rock on the door, on the top of the door, on one side of the street, the door says boys. On the other side of the street, it says girls. In the school building, boys and girls are walking through one door. Today, we have difficulty having men and women going in 2 doors in the basic nest. But once it was in the school building. Colleges were for boys, there's for girls. That's how it was. I remember the names of the colleges here. The girls didn't go too much to college, but those who did went to Hunter College. It was a college for girls. There was tznius. And that's one of the simanim that the Gemara says, I think this is the Mashiach. The degeneration, the entire collapse of the concept of tznius. Today people are behemoths. Today people walk around in the street like behemoths. Since the Daira model, there wasn't so much nus in the world. All the inhibitions are discarded. You are free. Do what you want. It's a free country. Do what you want. Talk what you want. Today's radio, today, especially the television, and more than that, the internet. They're kalim of nus. Things were much more tznius than 60 or 70 years ago. Not much more, absolutely no dimions. This is what they call Western culture. It started with Kennedy. This is the world today. What is the Rabbi Shlomo want from today's Bach? Today's younger life? Today's old Yid? Rabbi Shlomo want from today's Bach? Today's younger life? Today's old Yid? What does he want from them? So the Nisyonis are impossible. The Gemara says that if somebody would feed his son and clothe him and perfume him and it would put him on a Pesach Zaynos, Ma Yasa HaBen Shelo Yechta. Today the whole world is one big Pesach Zaynos. But the Torah is mitzvahs. My Shem is v'terosayos. This is our Nisyonis. This is how we have to bring Mashiach. To live with these Nisyonis. The end is a replay of the beginning. The beginning of Klal Yisrael was with Avraham Avinu, our servant Nisyonis. We are the last generation we had the rerun of all these Nisyanis. We also have to go through these Nisyanis. Impossible Nisyanis. But the klal is, the Rabbanu Shalom never gives Nisyanis if they're too difficult. I must say, I know what's going on with Bachram. I deal with Bachram. Not so much in the sister lately. I'm officially retired, but I have had the experience of Bachram, and I have the Bachram and our Shul. It's a mess. It's a plea in this cover. There are wonderful Bachram growing up today. Wonderful Bachram. Unfortunately, there are Bachram who are steeped in Avayim. But there are also wonderful Bachram. It's a mess. It's mamish a mess. So, yiyach sheyiyach. But the situation today is, yeah, wonderful Bachram, this wonderful Bachram. Everybody slips. Everybody has what to do tshuva and how to improve himself. And the eitzah is only Torah and tefillah. And as far as your parents are concerned, tzedakah. You don't have any duh. But Torah and tefillah, you do have the access to it more than your parents. We have to bring the geula. We have to bring the tikkun. When the Yosef is nifta, the usher is in the sheivavim, and together with that, the Rabbanu Shalom tells us chazak v'neschazek. That's what it tells us when Yosef is nifta. It's Shabbat chazak. Be nechazek. You should know kindalach tayir that you have a shlichus from the Rabbanu Shalom. You don't have to be a Lubavitcher to go on the shlichus. We're a shlichim from the Rabbanu Shalom. We have to bring the geula. And we can bring the geula with tahav, with sefer tahav. But yesh sheva, there's a hope for Yidden in this Mitzrayim of today. Yesh sheva in Mitzrayim. So now with this Shabbos, with Birchas Hamazon, with Baruch Hu, after Birchas Hamazon of Shabbos, we go into the 6 weeks of Shekhavim. And every should the health and that we should be Misake, what we're supposed to be Misake, and we should accomplish what we're supposed to accomplish. And every should the health, and we should all see Yeshua Israel, the Sheba Shem, Shvesama, Yaakov, Yismach Israel, Agud Shabbos.
For a share on the topic of the depth of the kibbutz of Yosef and our connection to the Avos, given Tafshel Lamed Zayin, press 1. For a share on the topic of Vayechi Yaakov, the eternity of Tzadikim, given Tafshel Mem Tes, press 2. For a share on the topic of the Kedusha of Yesod, our souvenir from Sefer Bereshis, given Tafshel Samach Dalet, press 3.